Today's Mercedes-Benz interview of the day brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz has an SUV for you, whether it's the stylish GLC, the compact GLA, the three-row GLS, or the GLE or GLC plug-in hybrids. Visit MBUSA.com for special offers. It's a relationship that goes back, I think, 13 years. He's Kirk Cousins, the Falcons quarterback, four-time Pro Bowler, fresh off the win Monday night against the Eagles, back on the program. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Dan. I'm also a big fan of Mercedes-Benz. Now that I moved to Atlanta, I drive a Mercedes-Benz. But I'm here on this interview for one reason and one reason only, and that's to talk about another brand that I have a great respect for and want to honor, and that's Qualcomm, a semiconductor software and telecommunications company that really just inspired me to get on this interview today.
Thank you. I hope you'll allow me to indulge you in some other questions about like the win against the Eagles. But if you want to get around talking about Qualcomm, we'll get to that pitch coming up.
Unlike Matt Harvey, I will allow you to talk football.
Okay.
But Qualcomm does mean a great deal to me, as it does Matt.
All right. Last drive by Philly. You're on the sidelines. What do you think is going to happen? How's that going to play out?
You know what, Dan? The final drive of the game, I've got some scars in my football career where I thought we had won the game, and then it didn't end up the way I had hoped. So I get a little skeptical when I'm standing there watching. But you also believe, we can do this. And all the Eagles needed was a field goal. So I was just standing and watching, and our defense made a great play. Jesse Bates was instinctual, got the interception, and at that point, just needed to take a knee.
But when you see them passing, because on the Manning cast, you had Peyton Eli and Matt Ryan saying the only way the Falcons can get the ball back is if the Eagles put the ball in the air. You see the pass, and then what are you thinking when Saquon drops that?
I think that's what's kind of so fun about pro football is the strategy and the different options you have there. I had heard an argument for you do the sneak that they've made famous on third down and see if you can get it to a 4th and 1. And then because that play is seemingly so unstoppable, just do it again on 4th down and believe that you're going to get it again. So there's an argument for just doing that sneak all the way down the field. But the play was a good play in the sense that he is open in the flat and it's a safe throw. And your odds are he's going to catch it and potentially convert and you can ice the game. So when you don't know the future, you don't know how it's going to play out. All you can do is make your best call that you believe in and let it go from there.
What was it like? You get in the huddle for that last drive and you say what?
I get very methodical. I'm kind of just process driven. So the play comes in. Hey, we got to run this play. If anything, it's all game. It's, hey guys, let's just have fun competing and let the outcome.
Wait. That's what you say? You're just like, hey, let's compete, have some fun.
I think there's a little bit of that. Just let's not overcomplicate this. We don't need to talk about, the magnitude of the moment. We don't need to talk about how John Candy's in the stands. They talk about how Joe Montana said that. Like, that's all well and good, but let's just go play and find the open guy, get rid of the ball, and try to get that first down. And I think I play my best just kind of simplifying the process and just treat it like you're playing the job, the position you've always played.
I'm going to give your offensive line credit, but also in the process question, the Eagles didn't blitz you. How surprised were you? And I know their defensive coordinator normally doesn't do that, but you don't have great mobility coming off surgery. How surprised were you that they didn't send an extra guy or two?
Well, so the touchdown to Darnell Mooney was cover 0. So that was an all-out blitz. So if anything, when they did bring the blitz, we had our biggest play of the night in terms of an explosive play. So he may have said, hey, I learned my lesson sending the pressure there. Let's not do that. And secondly, until the final drive, when they were playing more of a prevent coverage to just keep us out of the end zone, they really did have a roof on the defense, and we weren't getting many explosives throughout the game. So I would say their plan was reasonably effective outside of that cover 0 and then outside of the final drive. So I wouldn't really second guess that plan. And Vic Fangio is the D coordinator I have a lot of respect for, played against a lot. He's always kind of been tough. It's been hard to find explosives. And in the first game against the Packers, they didn't blitz a ton either. So it was pretty consistent with what they've been doing.
Let's go around the room and guess the percentage that Kirk's Achilles is, or what he's going to say. So, Todd, what do you think Kirk is going to say as far as how far along he is with the recovery?
I'm going to say 83% is the number that came to mind.
Seton?
I'll go 90, 95.
90. Well, I need you to pick.
I'm going to go towards 90.
90. Marvin?
95.
Paulie?
Kirk's a very positive guy. I'm going to say 105%. He's actually better.
105.
He's better now.
Let's go.
He's faster.
Faster.
Okay. I'm going to say he's 88% right now.
I'm somewhere between like 95 and 105. So a couple of you there had create a good parameter.
Okay.
I'm feeling good. I think the challenge for me, Dan, honestly, would be the red jersey of practice and the rust that I think needed to be worked off. I think that being out since week 8 last year or after week 8, and when you come back, you're not really back. You're in a red jersey, and it just doesn't have the same feel of live football. I've always said that going into week 1 that it's a little hard, but just felt that again this year, and I'm optimistic that as we go here, that rust gets off pretty quick.
But how does that affect you as far as planting or running or lateral movement?
I think in the first game against the Steelers, the final play, really basically the interception that I threw, I'm getting, there's push, but I'm used to in practice, basically the C's part. It's like Moses in the Red Sea, where I just stand there and everybody just gets out of the way and I make the throw. And then you play against the Steelers and you realize they're not getting out of the way. They're just going to continue to make it a telephone booth for you. And so kind of realizing that I've been playing in a much, much bigger telephone booth in practice, you get this false sense of security of, oh, I got space here, I got room, when in reality, no, you don't. And so it takes live bullets to realize, just how fast the game is moving and how small that telephone booth can get.
He's Mr. Primetime now, Kirk D. Cousins, joining us on the program for the last 5 Monday night. You couldn't,
Dan, I guess the tables have turned along those lines.
What happened?
What happened? I couldn't figure it out in primetime, and I always shrug my shoulders at both sides because some of these primetime wins I've had recently, I really haven't played that great. I remember we had won a couple Monday night games at the Bears, and I walked on the field. We won, but I wasn't outstanding. And there have been games in the past we lost, and I thought that's the best I've ever played. So I kind of shrug my shoulders at it, but I'll much rather take Mr. Primetime than what it used to be.
But what is that like when you throw that interception? That you feel like, okay, we've lost this game or I've cost us. That feeling of walking off, to the sidelines, going into the locker room.
It definitely ruined my afternoon and my evening, Dan. It's pretty miserable.
But when you go home to the kids, wife,
nah, there's no consolation. I was sitting there watching the Lions and Rams, and I'm pretty miserable on Sunday night. Honestly, Dan, that's the challenge I've had my whole career: is how do you still sort of sleep at night? How do you, because you're going to fail. This league's going to test you. Is being able to kind of let it roll off your back and just move forward. For me, it's always been, you just wear it so hard. And that was something that both Sean McVay and I used to kind of, have a kindred spirit about, is it just eats at you. And it's what makes you great. It's one of your greatest strengths, but then it can also be one of your biggest challenges you face. And just that how much it means to you is something I've always tried to kind of balance.
But the pressure that I see on these rookie quarterbacks, you played, I think, one game your rookie season, but high draft pick, come on in and let's see some magic here. Bryce Young from last year, now he gets benched. Can you put us in that position of what that pressure is like for these kids?
Yeah, it's difficult. First of all, football's a team game. And so when you have a great system, great coaches around you, getting people wide open, the protection plan's outstanding, you're going to look a little better, and vice versa. When if you got people around you who aren't really helping move the needle, that can make it a lot harder too. So the quarterback gets evaluated so much as if he's on an island, when in reality, it's a team deal. And then certainly as a rookie, there's going to be, a learning curve. There's going to be things that you've got to figure out. And then year 2 comes where defenses say, okay, we've got a year of film on you now. We're going to study you and start to figure out better how to defend you. So even once you have a good rookie year, that doesn't suddenly mean you've got it all figured out. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. I learned that firsthand being a 4th-round pick, thinking that going to Washington was a dead end, and seeing how my career played out. You got to play for the long game and just believe that if you have good habits and a good process, that the long game will work itself out.
You got the Chiefs coming to town?
Yep, Sunday night.
How often do you watch the other quarterback? Not as a fan, but just watching during the game of what Mahomes would do or Brady would do or Josh, whoever it might be?
Well, it's funny because I remember driving home from a game last year. We play at noon in Minnesota Central Time, so we'd be driving home at like 4 o'clock. And my wife, who loves following it all, said in the car, she said, "Oh, Sunday Night Football this week is Mahomes versus Stafford. That's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun," or whatever the two quarterbacks were. And I remember kind of laughed. I'm like, "Well, it's the Chiefs versus the Rams. It's not Mahomes versus Stafford." But her point is that the quarterbacks are what makes it fun to watch. And I would tend to agree with her that when you have two really high level experienced quarterbacks with a lot of skins on the wall, that's what kind of draws my interest the most to watch and to study and to see. And so I think that's where football gets really fun, is when you get those quarterbacks who you feel really know what they're doing. It's really the best product.
Okay. Full disclosure, I wasn't big on the uniforms, the away uniforms.
The all white with the black helmet.
Yeah, I need a little more oomph in there, a little bit more contrast in there. And I don't
Really?
know if you can work this in your contract. Well, you already signed
I've
it.
negotiated a lot of contracts over the years, so I'm open to anything.
You're
man.
very good at it. You're very good at it. I think we gotta do a little better on the road. It just felt your uniforms felt incomplete.
See, well, I don't want incomplete uniforms, but when I played at Michigan State, our style was all white head to toe with the green helmet. And so when I came in the locker room the other night and saw it's going to be all white with the black helmet, it kind of took me back to my Michigan State days. And I thought,
okay.
I can work with this. We had success with this in college, so I was open to it. The linemen tend to like all black because black is slimming. They do not like all white. They feel like they're walking out there looking like the Michelin Man. So linemen would be more in your corner. The all white does not work for them.
When Drake London goes to the line of scrimmage, does he have any options there the move is incredible to score the game winner, but
right.
Like, how does that work? What's the play call? And it's going to him, but does he have any, can he change anything?
So it's designed for him to kind of have that basketball crossover. Drake has a basketball background, and so he has a real natural feel for how to break down and kind of sell one way and go the other, like he's a point guard. And that's really what the route called for. And Darius Slay is such an instinctive corner and plays with great vision. And so we knew that this route could kind of play to Darius's game, where if Drake gives that move inside, he'll react and he'll go for that big play. And then we can break back out to the front pylon. Really, the freedom that Drake has is which angle to set. Does he flatten it to the front pylon? Does he kind of set it higher? So based on the coverage contour, he'll change that angle. But once I saw him kind of get Darius to bite inside, I just knew I had to put it out to the sideline and he'll go get it. And very rarely do you get that much separation down in the low red zone. So Drake made my job a lot easier.
How aware will you be where Chris Jones is?
Yeah, you have to be. He'll wreck the game if you're not.
But do you go to the line of scrimmage, and how often do you look for a defensive player, single out a defensive player?
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of awareness. Certainly, where's 95, and for our O-line, our center, that whole thing. Whether it's Aaron Donald, whether it's Max Crosby, whether it's Nick Bosa. There's just over a half dozen, maybe a dozen guys in the league like that who will wreck the game if you don't have four hands on them as many plays as possible. And Chris is a personality on the field. He'll make himself known. You don't really have to go looking for him because he'll break the huddle. He's having a conversation. You're in a TV timeout. He's having a conversation. So the linemen last year in Minnesota, when we played him, were joking. They said, Chris is, big personality. He's pretty friendly. He's positive out there, but I don't really want to hear any of it because he's ruining my day. So, we'll hopefully be able to corral him on Sunday, but he's the real deal.
Do you get yelled at by defensive players?
Yeah, usually, it's everything from the week one, TJ Watt after a play where, he does a drive-by and I kind of hear him and feel him as I throw the ball. He'll walk back to the next play and just say, "Hey, what's up, Kirk?" And just kind of like he's saying hello. And then there's other guys who, they may yell you like that at me. You'll get guys who have more to say. Brandon Graham at the coin toss. I go back to playing him at the University of Michigan. We both grew up in Michigan. So I've always, followed him and dap him up at the coin toss. And he's going to let me know, hey, you're going to see me at the coin toss, but you're going to see me a lot this game. So he tries to, kind of get in your head from the coin toss. So there's always talk going on.
But you're not a trash talker.
So my perspective is the same perspective of most quarterbacks, which is why in the world would I gas them up? Like football is hard enough. Why in the world would I add fuel to that fire? And sometimes I see teammates who are adding fuel to their fire, and I look and I go, guys, you're not the one standing back in the pocket that they're foaming at the mouth to come get. Please stop. Please stop adding fuel to their fire.
Do you try to be overly nice?
There's a little bit of that. I don't think there's anything wrong with, hey, nice play, good rush. How are the wife and kids?
Good cheap shot. You don't say anything like that. You don't say, hey, nice cheap shot.
No. You just kind of try to keep it civil. Don't give them any additional reason than they already have to come take your head off.
He's the new Mr. Primetime, and Primetime Sunday night, Kirk D. Cousins. Hey, great to talk to you again. Congratulations on the win.
Good catching up. Thanks, Dan.
And only here to talk about Qualcomm. That's good. Yeah, I think it's 2011, first time we had him on when he was at Michigan State.